So Prakash, today we'll be checking on the controlling area. We'll have the introduction about controlling area and settings that we make in the controlling area part. And once we complete with controlling area, we will be proceeding with cost element accounting, cost center accounting, and then the product costing. So we don't take much time on the cost center accounting and cost element accounting part. Basic, we have to understand the controlling area settings that we have to activate and configure, so that the upcoming components that we're going to use, whether it may be in the product costing or maybe in the cost center accounting, so that need to be available. So for that to happen, for any doing the planned cost activity or actual cost activities, all components need to be activated at the controlling area level. So the system which I'm showing, I don't have access on this system. So I just captured the screenshots of those SAP screens but I will show you all together once when from the beginning of controlling area settings and cost element creation, and as well as cost center creation and cost center hierarchy, standard hierarchy creations. So now coming to organization structure, we know that the first and foremost, we have the client followed by operating concern, which is the highest level of organization structure, and following with the controlling area, which can be assigned to multiple company codes or a single company code. So this is, yeah. So first of all, when you are creating the controlling area, first we have the transaction code, or we can directly use the menu path. First we need to set this controlling area, default controlling area, in the transaction code OKKS. After setting up the default controlling area, we need to create the controlling area using the transaction code OKKP. And when you are creating the controlling area, we have to give whether the controlling area is only created for single company code or if it is multiple company code. In case we are creating a controlling area for multiple company codes, when you have to provide it as cross company code is used actually. And here in controlling, the currencies are like, either we can use what happens is when you have one-to-one assignment, like one controlling area with only one company code, here the local currency itself will be the controlling area currency. In case we have multiple company codes to be assigned for that controlling area, we have 20 for controlling area currency, which is also a local currency, and 30 as a group currency. So two currencies are facilitated. And this is the only difference when we are assigning single company code with single controlling area or multiple company code with the same controlling area. And next is chart of account. We are using the operational chart of account for the same. And fiscal year variant will be the company code fiscal year variant, and this cost center standard hierarchy. Yeah, here the cost center standard hierarchy, this field is very much mandatory if we are using cost center accounting, and whatever the value that we are actually providing it here, that from there the structure starts. This is the highest node in the cost center hierarchy, they say. That means from this what the information value that we provide here, all the other departments like the whole structure, the tree, and its respective branches will always share the value that is defined here in this particular node. And then the second thing we do here is we assign this company code. Once we create this controlling area, we assign this with the respective company codes. We need to assign this. Once we assign this, then we have an option to activate certain components in the controlling area. So what are those components? The few components are like cost center need to be activated. We have to activate the activity types. Activity types is for calculating or analyzing the labor activities. And then we have to activate the order management, which is for the production order, process order, and service orders. We have to activate this particular indicator. And then we have an indicator for commitment management to be activated. And then profitability analysis is only implemented when we have COPA activated in this particular section. And the profit center accounting also need to be activated. And this is not required for a new GL as a part of the finance, and only required for the classic GL. and projects, cost objects, variances. These all need to be activated. These all components are must and should be activated. So once we have this controlling area components activated, we will create the number ranges for the controlling area. As we know that we create number ranges for this vendor account groups, customer account groups in finance. When we post a document, for any vendor related document, there will be certain document number ranges will be chosen based upon the document types that we assign to it. During the configuration time, we assign these document types to certain number ranges, internal number range or external number range. That is different. But here in controlling, what happens is all the controlling documents are business are related to business transaction types. Like we actually have certain business transaction types which we assign with the document number ranges. And we don't assign here document types or something. We only assign the transaction types, whatever the business transaction types. For example, we have a controlling document for calculating of scrap KUS, which is a business transaction type. And then we have KMB. There are multiple business transaction types actually. So when you create a new number range, and we have a number range assigned to it, and that number range will be assigned to this particular KAUS, and that particular activity is done in the transaction code KANK. And OKC1, we can find all the business transaction types that is available in the controlling, that is available for controlling actually. Okay, so we have seen creation of control. First of all, setting up the controlling area, default controlling area, OKKS. Next, we have OKKP, creation of controlling area. And once we create, we need to assign those to company codes. Then we need to assign number ranges. So 4 activities, 4 steps are completed. These are the 4 configurational activities that you do. And then you have something called controlling versions. Okay, so all the controlling data, or all the planning or planned activity or actual activities, all the data are maintained in certain set of versions, a comprehensive set of versions. In case we use the same controlling area in a different activity, like for example, we do it in for calculation of overheads or our product costing, we use it different places. So when we use the same controlling area in a different places, we need to have these versions. So this is why we actually have controlling versions. But as in when we create a controlling area using OKKP, there is a default controlling version 0, which is activated, which is created. Okay, basically the default version 0 is created, and this default version 0 will have availability for both planning activity as well as actual activity, and along with the work in progress and variances. So all these indicators are available, all these or the options are available for default version 0. In case we need to have multiple versions, we even have that opportunity to create 1 to 100. Like apart from 0, we have 1 to 100 versions that we can create, and we can activate only the plan activity for that. We cannot activate the actual activity. That is only available with the default version. There is another catch. Any new version that we create, it should always be copied from the default version 0. That is also we need to take care in case we have any requirement to create a new versions, because this controlling area is used for different area, like maybe in work in progress, or maybe they are used for calculating of variances. So in those places, we have to use different versions, like version 1, version 2. And here, when we are using this version, we need to make sure that these indicators are actually activated to use that. Okay, so this is one of the configuration we do, which is at the client level, independent of any chart of account. We do not maintain this at any controlling area level. We just maintain it at a client level. And then, as in when I told this default version 0, it is created. Default version. This is actually created for 5 years, which is for a number of years is 5 years, fiscal years. So These 5 years, you can identify them by double click on that particular line. You can able to find those 5 fiscal years, and you need to activate that copying allowed for all these fiscal years. And when you double click on each year, you will have something like this, where you have to activate how you are doing the planning activities, like what is the indicators. For example, whether you are locking this version or you're unlocking this version. And then we have something called integrated planning. That means when you're using this control, this is where you can use the controlling area in multiple workarounds. For example, you're using it in for work in progress calculations. You're using this in overhead calculations. So this particular controlling area activated for integrated planning can be available in all those specific calculations. And this copying allowed, yes. And then we have something called currency translation, in which what currency exchange rate type you are being used. You can use P, that is for cost planning, or also you can use M, that is average rates. So you have you have facility to either use M or P, and then you specify the value dates. For orders and projects, which we generally do for any orders and projects, if we are using this controlling area, we have to activate integrated planning with the cost centers or the business process. Okay, so this activity, once it is completed, this kind of configuration we do for every controlling area when we create it, and when we are setting up the versions for this controlling area. Now, to calculate the price, you have another tab, price calculation. In the price calculations, we will actually define how a plan and an actual data are to be evaluated. Either it need to be evaluated with a periodic price, or is it with the average price. So those two price, evaluation methods, we have opportunity to set it here. We generally set it as periodic price for a plan as well as the actual methods. And only we have these two, plan and actual, for price calculations. So this is about the configurations that we are doing it for controlling. As I said, the first and foremost, it will be the creation of the controlling area, that is OKKP. And before that, we have to make sure that it is we have a default controlling area, that is using OKKS. And then we have to remember that we are assigning this controlling area to company code first, and then we are activating the components. So we are assigning this using the transaction code. We can use the transaction code OKKP, and there itself we have option to assign this to company codes. Once we have assigned it, we can create the activate the components. So few of the components which we have to remember to activate our activity types: cost center, order management, commitment management, and profitability analysis, and other segments. Once we activate this, what we have is number ranges. For any controlling document to have certain number range, we need to assign certain number ranges to the transaction types, business transaction types. So just need to remember, in finance, we have document types, but here we have business transaction types. We have multiple business transaction types, either for manual allocation, settlement, calculation of scrap, all have certain 4 alpha character code, which you can find out using the transaction code OKC1. And we have another important transaction code OKEQ for maintaining the versions of the controlling area. We can have 1 to 100 n number of versions, but we have a default version that is 0. This 0 default version will be created as in when we create a controlling area. Any version that we create should be copied with the default version 0. And 0 is available for actual activity, actual costing activity. But whatever the new other versions that we create are not created for actual activities. They are only created for the planned activity, planned costing, planned activities. So this is all about controlling area settings. Okay, so we will actually do the same in the system. We'll try to create a controlling area, assign it to the company code, create a number range, assign that number range to the business transaction type, we create a version, and we maintain these configuration parameters. Okay, so once we have completed this, there is something called cost element accounting. To give a little brief about it, probably you already know about it. Just I'm trying to summarize whatever we understand about cost elements. See, cost elements, we have these are like a cost carriers, as you said yesterday in the last previous class. But again, we have two types of cost elements: a primary cost element and a secondary cost element. So primary cost elements are like they are the integration between FI and CO. Any value that flows from CO to FI or FI to CO, they are actually managed using cost elements. These are actually all the GL accounts that we create in as an expense and income accounts that can be created as a primary cost elements. So then what do you mean by secondary cost element? These cost elements, when you do the month-end activities, when you are actually trying to settle internal order to any of the cost objects, uh, at that particular point of time, you make use of a cost element that is called a secondary cost element. You use that to settle settle the expenses from an internal order to certain cost objects or production orders or service orders. So these are different what I can say, these are the different features of a secondary cost element. And also they are used for allocating of cost from one cost centers to another cost centers. Like you have a temporary cost centers allocated, and you want to move the cost from one cost center to another cost center within controlling area. So they are not used in finance. They are only available in secondary cost element in the controlling. They don't exist in finance, and they only exist in controlling area, controlling module, and they do not represent any of the GL accounts. They do not represent any of the GL accounts. So this is about the cost element accounting. And when we are having cost elements, we generally create cost elements using the transaction code K01, display or change the cost element using K02 or K03, and then create secondary cost element using the transaction code K06. So when we generally we have a requirement to create certain cost elements, primary cost elements, we make sure that the GL accounts are created in finance, and then we create the same in controlling using the transaction code KS01. In case sometimes we get a requirement to change the cost element names, and we make sure that we change it accordingly using the different transaction codes. So this kind of requirements also comes up, and this is all about control cost element accounting and controlling area settings. Okay, so probably I was thinking that in the whole session, let me concentrate first initial 20-30 minutes on the theoretical part to explain the things, and then straight away put the things to SAP and start demonstrating that how to do the configuration. So so
one question, Gaurav.
Yeah.
This secondary cost element, the
Yeah.
statement what you have given, is it in ECC scenario or even S/4HANA scenario?
Yeah, it's for S/4HANA scenario itself. Because in there's no much difference when it comes to secondary cost element. Sorry, in primary cost element, secondary cost element scenario won't come up in S/4HANA itself. So whatever the information that I'm actually giving, it is only for the ECC scenarios.
Yeah, I was just wondering, like, in S/4HANA, GL, whatever we create, they do represent GL accounts. And,
yes. In GL account itself, we represent it as a primary or secondary. But this is for the ECC scenario. Whatever that I'm trying to explain, even the system that I'm actually having is also for the ECC. But when it comes to S/4HANA scenario, we don't have something called cost element primary or secondary. It's just that we use, there is no such difference of two different cost elements in S/4HANA. Sorry on that. I didn't realize that.
So I remember that, for ECC scenarios, we need to create even reconciliation account.
Yes, correct. That's right.
Okay.
So
okay,
you're
so
for ECC or S/4HANA, basically?
I work with both ECC and S/4HANA.
Okay. I think we'll end this class for today. The next class we will be having this demonstrated in the SAP.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much.